We good?
Yep.
Fabulous. Welcome everyone to the Lincolnville Selectmen's meeting. It is the 23rd of September and Selectman Barrows, would you read the quote of his?
Certainly. A fanatic is one who can't change his mind and will not change the subject. Winston Churchill.
Thank you very much. And at this point, I would like to open the podium for any non-agenda items. Seeing nobody rushing up to the podium, let's move along to the administrator's report.
Couple of things that are not on the agenda. We've been invaded here at the town office by some sort of vermin. Decided to chew on the insulation out back for the heating units, what are they? The heat pumps, and then chewed its way right up to the building and then chewed into the building. So we've had our friends at Central Exterminating here, and Maritime Energy is getting us a quote to replace the insulation on those, and we'll get an option to secure those in a harder plastic versus the soft that's on the ones out back. The one over here has the hard plastic to begin with. Just an update I received regarding the Lincolnville Sewer District project. They went out to bid. They got 2 bids back that were both substantially higher than their monies allow. So they're doing, they can't afford it. They're doing a little regrouping. They're looking at possibly breaking it up and bidding it out in 3 sections. One being the treatment plant, the other being piping in the roadways, and the third being the grinder pump stations that they'll be putting at various places along the way. I don't know when. There is a concern that's been expressed in terms of the viability of what was once may still be privately owned treatment plant there for the short term, certainly for the longer term down there, but there is a concern short term too, so we'll have to keep it abreast as to what's going on.
When you say substantially over budget, do you know like what percentage?
They did not convey that to me.
Okay.
Sorry.
So I got a message actually from the town office to make a phone call to a concerned taxpayer in that area down there. I was not able to connect with that person. I tried to see that person in person yesterday, and that didn't work out either. So I will continue to try. I kind of figured I should get a hold of them before this meeting, but I'm not going to say I failed, but I did. So I'll continue to try and see what's going on.
Well,
But we haven't been approached by the district as to what this all means, but I just thought I'd let you know what I knew. At the last meeting, we reported to you that the pressure relief valve at the fire station on the furnace had let go. The repair to that has been done, as well as a replacement to the expansion tank. We initially thought that the water that had come out of the pressure relief valve had done some damage to the drywall in there. Had our insurance adjuster down, and the determination was it wasn't furnace water that caused the damage, but water that was coming down the chimney, onto the floor.
great.
Soaked up in the wall. Anyhow, at the recommendation of our folks from insurance, ServPro has been in and removed the damaged drywall, remediated either the mold, the mildew, the whatever that was present. So right now, if you went in the boiler room, you'd see bare studs straight through to the kind of the workshop room that's behind that, for probably 2 feet off the ground and probably 10 feet, maybe 12 feet total in length. We've got a quote for doing the dry roll repair, and for the trim and the paint is in the works. Trim being just a baseboard that goes from the drywall down. Dry roll repair is likely to commence later this week or the first of next week. Be done sometime in the next 2 weeks, hopefully. In terms of the chimney, Larry Hooper's giving us a price to actually construct a masonry cap at the top. It's the furnace was, or the chimney was built the way it was designed, but apparently in that 8x8 flue, you can get enough water that comes down at times to run out the clean out onto the floor, over to the wall, and do some damage.
So, and why don't we have a monitored system down there? Meaning fire, berg, and environmental? The decision was made not to do that because it was sprinkled. Is it my understanding that's what the reasoning was?
I don't know if that was the reason, but I mean, the building does have a sprinkler system in it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if there was I'm trying to remember back when I don't know if we spent any time exploring that back when that building was built or not, to be honest with you.
Okay. So, personally speaking, and I just want to get it on the record that I do work for Seacoast Security, and we do deal with this on a daily basis. And then after I make my comment as a citizen and taxpayer of the town of Lincolnville, not as a selectman, I'll back out of any decisions going forward. But I think it would be in the town's best interest to have some sort of a system down there to monitor fire, berg, environmental issues. And when I say environmental issues, water intrusion, sprinkler, low water pressure, if the sprinkler goes off, monitored. We have a system here in this building. I believe there's one at the LIA building. I think it's absolutely foolish not to have something in a brand new fire department. My own personal opinion, and that's all I will say going forward on that. Thank you.
If it pleases the board, we can explore that with the chief.
I think that would be a good idea to at least have a conversation with them and see what their opinions are on it. I think it'd be a good idea to get a price and a quote and see what it costs.
Do you think this is a conversation, Kern, based on your initial interest, that David could start the conversation with our fire chiefs and then loop back to us?
Is this a town building?
The fire station?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's our decision.
Oh, it's your decision, no
Yeah.
doubt about it.
Yeah, but we're not talking about making any decisions, just,
No, I think we should bring them in on it, but I really think, geez, the LIA building's got one, this place has got one. I think it's
Well,
cheap
let's-
protection, to be real honest with you.
let's
Yes,
talk about putting it on a
absolutely.
future agenda. then,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Sounds
Yeah.
good.
Done. Speaking of the LIA building,
Great segue.
yeah, on Friday, late in the Friday afternoon, got what's in your packet under non-agenda items, the addendum to the structural report regarding the exploration that was done, removing the part of the ceiling in the first floor to look at the floor joists and support for the second floor. There is our concerns about that the floor may be, their words, structurally deficient, and that they've recommended that additional field work be done to verify or dispel their concerns. In light of that recommendation, I've told them to go ahead and poke some more holes in the ceiling and get onto it. Also, if it is as they suspect it may be, we may need to limit loads on the second floor in the short term, or provide some temporary supports on the first floor to assist the second floor support. I've spoken with both the LIA as our tenant, the president of the LIA, and then in turn the president of the Historical Society, who is a subtenant to, well, not to us, through the LIA, about the preliminary findings. And right now there's nothing major planned for upstairs in the museum part. Season is pretty much winding down. They traverse the floor to get to the office, which is constructed differently. And I'm going to meet again with them on Wednesday. I had a conversation with them, and then as soon as we know more about what's there or not, we're going to get, I presume, another follow-up report that says you need to do this or you're all set. But I want to bring everybody in on the loop. I don't think it's anything that was, we weren't told to evacuate the building, let's put it that way. Matter of fact, they said you don't need to evacuate the building, but be forewarned that this is coming. I think it was more construction that may have been typical in the time, that period that building was built, versus what's allowable and acceptable by today's code. So,
What's the anticipated turnaround for this supplementary exploration?
we're in hopes to have the holes opened up this week, and once you can actually see back up in there with a flashlight and a stepladder, it's probably, well, it's not 10 minutes worth of work, but it's probably 15.
Okay.
And then we'll have a more definitive answer.
Okay.
Are we looking at this report? We okay right now for what they're using it for until we get this report done?
Yeah, I think based on what they've told us that they're doing there, and where, I'm gonna try to find it. Their recommendation number 1 talks about a field verification, and if the timbers are confirmed to be 5 by 7 inch or less, we recommend proceeding as outlined below. Doesn't say do it now, it says if.
Okay.
So we're,
Okay.
but
I mean,
I'd be surprised if it wasn't.
my only immediate concern is with specific use during Christmas by the Sea,
Yeah.
when it goes from
Well,
no usage to
right. Fortunately, Christmas by the Sea can be confined, and typically is, to downstairs,
right,
where it doesn't have the concern that it does with the second floor.
for sure. Yeah, but I think just having that ultimate clarity will be
Yes.
helpful.
Fortunately, the person that wrote this structural report has been to Christmas by the Sea in that building, so she's very familiar with it, in addition to doing the inspections. So that's it for administrator's report, unless you have some, oh, no, I talked about that, never mind.
Any other questions for David under administrator's report? Okay, let's move along to upcoming meetings and announcements.
All meetings are here unless announced otherwise. Lakes and Ponds Committee meets Tuesday, September 24th, 7 p.m. Planning Board meets Wednesday, September 25th, 7 p.m. Midco Solid Waste Corporation meets Wednesday, September 25th at 6:30 at the Camden Town Office, even though that says 7 o'clock on the agenda.
It is 6:30.
Yep, it is 6:30. School Committee meets Monday, October 7th, 6 p.m. in the Lincolnville Central School. Planning Board is scheduled to meet on Wednesday, October 9th, 7 p.m. Call ahead, because if they don't have anything on their agenda, they won't have a meeting. Town office will be closed on Monday, the 14th. Excuse me. Conservation Commission is scheduled to meet Thursday, October 10th at 4 p.m. and the Board of Selectmen meet next on Tuesday, October 15th, 6 p.m.
Thank you very much. Any questions or comments on that? Are there any upcoming community events anyone would care to share? Seeing nothing, let's move along to the meeting minutes from the 9th of September.
I move that the board approve the September 9th, 2019 meeting minutes as presented.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing nothing, all those in favor? Thank you very much. And we have Jill Goodwin here from Monroe and Goodwin here to chat with us again about float storage on town property.
Hi,
Hello.
Jill Goodwin. I live in Belfast, work in Camden at Monroe and Goodwin. And, excuse me, very nicely, the last 2 years you have rented a spot down by Norton's Pond to store the Norton's Pond floats, and we'd like to be able to do that again. I haven't heard of any problems, but if there are, I talked to Leslie DeVoe last week, and she was grateful how we managed to keep the floats away from the snowmobile trail, that we've been able to do that, so that hasn't been an issue. So right now it looks like the people that when I was a kid, the lake cleared out Labor Day, and now it's Columbus Day. So it doesn't look like we'd want to be pulling anything out of Norton's Pond until after Columbus Day. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
David?
No, it's
you
been-
Looked, you look
I always just am ready to talk, just to drag,
just in
drag this out. No, we've, the folks from Monroe and Goodwin have done what they said they'd do when they said they'd do it, and cleaned up after themselves. Haven't had a complaint, so.
No problems on your end? No damage to floats or anything?
No.
That might have been questionable. Perfect, that's great.
You know, and just to add, environmentally, I think it's better, rather than us having to haul them all the way down a bog bridge, that we've been able to consolidate and do everything down here in like a day and a half, and so just haul the boats down here rather than taking them back down a bog bridge. So I don't know if this is the time to ask. I know in Camden the ordinance says they're doing away with the blue styrofoam. I don't know if there's been talk
We're
up here or
working on
not. Okay.
We're working on education first,
Yeah.
being that it is financially more.
Yeah. I mean, I have had to tell my Lincolnville customers that when the moratorium when it goes out, that I'm not going to be able to haul any Lincolnville floats to Camden. They can't take them through the Camden waters.
Right.
So, I just thought I'd bring it up while I was here.
Yep. David, at the risk of sounding mercenary, how much do we ask for rent?
$600,
Yeah.
I think is what we've
Yeah, that's what
charged
we've
the
been
last
doing.
2 years.
Since it's such a successful program, would it be outrageous to ask for a cost of living increase, so to speak? I'm just
think it's
looking
really
out for the
good.
taxpayers.
I was gonna ask her if is the price working out, and if she said yes, I was gonna ask her how she felt about giving us more, so.
I will say, just to toss out, we do store some at Hosmer Pond over the Camden Snowball, and they let us do it for nothing over there. So
I gotta talk
just
to
thought
her.
I'd toss that.
Not anymore, Jill.
We're on public TV.
I know you-
Local TV.
Well, what another town chooses to do
I know. Just thought I'd
with
throw
its
it on.
resources is up to them. Do you think Monroe and Goodwin would be amenable to a slight price increase?
I mean, I pass it along to the tenants of the lake. So
Yep. Okay. I don't know. I throw it out there for the board to consider.
We should consider it.
I think, I'll stick my neck on the chopping block, I'm good at it. I think that I would be in favor of, I'm all for asking for more money, but I think I'd be in favor of go ahead and agree with the 600 for this year and tell them that next year we are planning on reevaluating how much that's worth and give them and expect a increase as to the last couple of years' worth of what the cost of living's done on top of what we have now.
Reasonable.
I mean, The only thing is if we don't, if she has to go back, we have to go back. If we just go with the 600 now, we can sign it tonight, it's all done and everybody's happy and we can all do everything and we can take this up next year when we have more time to talk about it.
Agreed, I just feel like I would be remiss if I didn't.
Oh, I
Bring it up,
agree,
yeah.
and I think that I think it is a good idea to bring up. I mean, everybody else has got a raise and everything else is, you know, cost of living is going, everything else does. It would be reasonable to add that same cost of living to storage fees.
Well, with that being said, do you wish to make a motion?
I'd like to, I move to authorize the town administrator to sign the agreement on behalf of the town that allows the use of town-owned property for float storage by Monroe and Goodwin Incorporated on essentially the same terms as last year.
Second.
Moved and seconded, any further discussion? Seeing nothing, all those in favor? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'll see you next year.
We'll be in touch.
Okay. Where to find me.
And we have our new manager of our Midco Solid Waste facility, as well as the Midco Solid Waste Board Chair, here to chat with us.
So maybe.
And don't forget to speak into the microphone or
I was
people get
gonna
upset.
ask. So my name is Owen Casas. I'm the chair of the Midco Solid Waste Corporation. This is Baridi, our new facilities manager. We are here primarily to just give you a very light update about what the corporation's been doing, some of the things that have been happening, let you meet the new facilities manager, and then really just try to go through some brief updates, just general stuff, most of which you're probably already hearing in liaison reports, but give you an opportunity to ask any questions if you have any, and that's it. Just I'm trying to do an annual check-in with the select boards. We do ask you all to assist us in certain things, certain decisions that need to be made. So trying to check in, make sure everyone's good and we're doing the stuff that you feel is necessary for the processing of your citizens' waste. And I will maybe just step off real quick and let Brady introduce himself.
Thank you, Owen. Good afternoon, board. Lincolnville board. My name is Tacoma Baridi Noko Kaylee. I've just been going by Baridi, Burrito, the B-Man, or Mr. B for the most part. I wanted to just thank the board. I'm very gratified that they had made a decision to offer me the opportunity to become the new manager of Midco Solid Waste Corporation. Very gratified and very appreciative. Happy to be here in the state of Maine. Wish I could have moved a little closer, but I was in a rush and it was very hard to get long-term rental unfurnished. But that said, I'm always in the office at least an hour to 2 hours before we open. If you have any questions for me, as Chairman Owen mentioned, I'm happy to answer any questions about any of the ongoing issues that we have, that I've encountered since I've been on board. And of course, you may not know this, but as of last Monday, I've celebrated my 30th day on the job.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
How's it going for you? I mean, you definitely jumped right into all kinds of stuff,
And a minute, and a
so to
minute.
speak.
Well, if you know, you're aware that we have the issue with our leachate issue where it's not pumping, and we hope to have that resolved this Wednesday. We'll have the engineers out and we'll have a temporary fix in place and have a strategy in place for the permanent fix. But we should be pumping down leachate by the end of the day on Wednesday. We're not in any threat, imminent threat to polluting Lily Pond that's adjacent to the property. Our levels are well below the berm, so we're not in danger of breaching the underground berm that surrounds the landfill. The issues related to some of the hot spots on the landfill, I understand we had a fire prior to me coming on board. I believe that was July 5th, the day of the vote for my hire, I believe.
It went full-fledged on my anniversary, which was July 6th.
6th, all right.
That was the flame day.
Yeah, that was the flame day right there.
Okay. Well, the landfill is running a temperature. It is running between 130 to 160 degrees. Its normal temperature should be somewhere around 103, 106. But we're not in danger of any spontaneous combustion. We're checking the temperatures daily. And what we plan to do with the leachate pump once we get the new one installed is it will do double duty in pumping the levels and maintaining the leachate levels down below 98 feet. And also we're going to use it as sort of a bioremediation, where we can inject water into those hot spots as they are identified. So there's no issue right now as far as fire, and it's good that we're going into the fall and winter months, and that's going to additionally help us. And also, I've talked with the chairman about the possibility of approaching the city manager at Rockland about purchasing or leasing their landfill compactor, something that we are desperately in need of on the landfill. So those are the two major issues. I've already spoken to several haulers who are interested in bidding for a contract for haul our waste to EcoMaine, and one bidder has already shown me his structured bid that would save us $11,000 a year if he continues doing what we're doing now, and over $20,000 a year if he were to buy new containers. So that looks very good. I'm not sure yet if I need to structure an RFP, but if I do, I will put the specs out for a request for proposal so everyone could bid equally on getting a contract to haul waste, because right now our hauler that we've had in place now, I understand, for about 20 years has been working without an agreement. And he too is also going to be submitting a bid that I should receive from him this week.
So you said might possibly save us $20,000 if we bought new containers or he bought new
No, if we bought the containers now,
Yeah.
we need
containers?
about.
I know we've had a lot of conversations
Yes.
over the last couple of years about this.
Well, the way I look at it is it may cost us. We need about 5 to 6 containers, and we're looking at $50,000 to $60,000. They're averaging about $10,000 a piece with delivery. But the way the contract is structured, we would pay off those containers in the first 3 years, and the savings we would realize. And of course, then we would own the containers, and we would go forward with a reduced cost. The containers we have right now are out of sync with the industry. They're not uniformed. They require a tractor with a trailer to haul. They're not giving us the full compaction that we require. They're 28 feet long. They were elongated, but the ram was not stretched out to give us the compaction that we require. And the container should be no more than 24 feet. And we want to try to haul them with a straight truck roll-off instead of a semi-tractor trailer. And that's what the other bidders would like to do. And I think that if we could do that, that'd be more efficient for us. And we may be even able to get more containers dumped and returned per day than the 2 currently now that are being done.
Yeah.
How is the support for you?
I am very blessed to have inherited such a staff. And I can tell you, they've been running things, I understand, for several months, along with our chairman working sort of as the acting manager. But they have done such a great job that our customers and the citizens have been unaware, to the most part, about some of the other internal issues. And that's a good thing. Everything has been humming along fine. They all know what they're supposed to do. They're all veterans in what it is that they do, self-motivated, and I'm very happy to be a part of this crew and be a part of this team. So I think that along with everything that I've been doing now for over 4 decades, everything that I've encountered so far is nothing that I haven't encountered before. In fact, it's been even on a larger scale. So it's not the first time I've come in contact with issues with leachate, conveyance systems failing, or fires on landfills. I've been dealing with this since the 1980s in places much larger, landfills much more complex. So it's not an issue about facing things that I haven't encountered before, just getting to know all the engineers and all the players involved and familiarize myself with them. and they with me. So, but I have done that, and I think that we'll get these issues resolved in the next several weeks to come.
Fantastic. Any other questions? We're really excited to get to work with you.
Thank you very much. And also, I'll be remiss not to mention the fact that I've had complete and absolute support from the various boards. I really appreciate that as well.
Good.
And a lot of support and helping me to acclimate and orientate here to Maine and to Mid-Coast and 4 cities, 4 towns.
Yeah.
All right.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Very lovely meeting you. Thank you.
Can I get just a really quick, so he covered the bulk of it. We could talk for hours about this stuff because it's awesome, right? For the board members, I will not be there on Wednesday. We've talked with Lou Pizzuti, schedule compliance. It's basically been a year since we told him we would get started working on it. The DEP is understandable of our situation, and now that we have a new facilities manager, the plan is to have Brady go over the schedule of compliance with Paul Gibbons, because Paul already has notes on it, and then hopefully we can wordsmith this thing and workshop it pretty good at the Wednesday meeting to get it to DEP for them to review it, so that hopefully we can negotiate in October and finalize it in November. So I would just ask if you have a little bit of time, schedule compliance that Lou had provided last time hasn't really changed from DEP's perspective. If you could please try to put some eyes on it before the Wednesday meeting, come up with some notes, because I'd like to turn that around as quickly as we can. DEP's okay with us, but they'd really like to get us finalized on this if we can. So it's kind of bumped into corporate priorities anyway. Operational priorities is all that's his thing.
I'd like to add too that I do have a meeting with Mr. Gibbons on Friday at 11 a.m. to discuss the schedule compliance. And it won't be until Friday, as soon as he can meet with me.
Great.
Perfect.
Anything else for either of these gentlemen? Thank you very much. We very much appreciate the updates. Yeah, thank you. Have a great evening.
All right.
Now on to the fun stuff, salary surveys.
Yes. And
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
we have the chair of the Wage and Personnel Policy Board here to present to us. David, do you want to give a little prelude, introduction,
Sure.
reminder?
Earlier this year, the board had received a concern as expressed by one of the administrative assistants regarding compensation for the duties performed. The board at that time prepared a supplemental charge to the Wage and Personnel Policy Board to re-examine the job description, which was relatively recently updated in 2017. And then to do some, in essence, a compensation study for that position. And they've been diligently working on it since that time. And Stacy is here as chair to present the findings of the committee, and I'll stop talking.
I have no paperwork with me, but I think I remember. I know those in the other car.
Sorry.
Great. So the Wage and Personnel Board got your charge. We met 3 times. The board includes myself, Betty Johnson, Sandy Thomas, and Vicki Ugley. David also attended each of those meetings to guide us along. At the very first meeting, Vicki had done some legwork with David and gave us some preliminary numbers on some towns that had similar
Structure.
valuations, maybe population. It's very hard to match. So we looked at that at our very first meeting and talked about the charge and really got to thinking about this is a very hard thing to do because every position in every town, in every city and town in Maine, and even locally in the Mid-Coast is so different. You know, I might be a town clerk and a tax collector in one town. There may be a deputy town clerk and a deputy tax collector in another town, but they do the same exact duties. Or they may have additional duties, or they might not have some of those duties that some of the people here do. So it was a very difficult task to accomplish. But one of the things that we did think about in our second meeting and decided to take a look at instead was what would happen if
one of the people here were gonna find a different job, or if any of the local people here that lived here were gonna find a different job, and it would be the local market. So we then took a look at the locals. We took out some of those others that had been first compiled and really looked at the Waldeboro's, the Warrens, the Unions, the Camden, the Rockports, the Rocklands, the Owl's Heads, the South Thomastons, the Northports, the Searsmonts, our market, which is probably where most of us who live here and aren't gonna leave. And with that, we took out the highs and the lows and came up with a median. And within that median, we felt that there probably was some need for some differences in the scale. And we also thought within that there was a need for an addition in the scale. And in that you can see we added a step 7. So step 6 went right from 6 to, step 6 to 10 years. And we felt that was just too wide of a jump, or, not soon enough. So we felt there should be an additional step that made it 5, 5, and 5. We just felt it was needed. But within that, we also decided that there probably was some need to increase from the bottom up by $1. After a lot, we met 3 times, after a lot of discussion at that last meeting, after we came up with what that was gonna be, and we just decided it wasn't about, where the money was gonna come from or what it was just what the determination of the need of the market was, and we felt that was the $1. So that's what we're presenting to you today, is at some point, and we understand that, this came a little bit before or after budget period, that this might have to happen at the next budget cycle. And that's up to you guys and David to figure out, but we're more than welcome to look at it again before the next budget cycle if you want us to, depending on what happens between now and then.
Thoughts?
So this information, you came to this by the median. There were no highs, and there were highs and there were lows, but you looked at what better compared to.
We took the locals, took out the very low,
Yeah.
and took out the very high, and came to a median.
Okay.
And again, some of those have tenure, some of those are just higher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're all over the place, but we just felt taking a median of, I felt especially that the local market was
Okay.
where we needed to be, especially with the current staff that we have. They're not going to be going to Bangor or,
Yeah.
and we didn't include Belfast just because Belfast is just a little unique in how they have their own tax collector's office. They have their own clerk's office. They have their own treasurer. It's just different. So we didn't include them in our local market. But we felt we had some good comparables.
Yeah, I mean, I can find very little fault with the method he went about it makes total sense. I mean, frankly, this is better than I expected. I don't mean that to
Well,
come
it
out
was
the
later
wrong
than we
way,
had
but-
hoped, just because we kind of went in a different direction after the initial comparables. So it
Sure.
did take longer than your charge had asked us for, and I'm sorry about that. But I do think this is, I had mentioned this to David in an email the other day, that, I don't even remember, this was something that was done a very, very long time ago, and something that was looked at again probably very early in the 2000s, and then kind of, I don't remember when the last, but we should probably be doing this every 2 or 3 years, taking our people and doing
That
this, and
all-
not, and
that-
right
that
before
all-
budget, a couple
Agreed,
in the
yeah.
fall, give this to us, or whoever's on the board then,
Yeah.
and do that, and,
Yeah.
every 2 to 3 years, take a good look at this so you're prepared for budget cycle.
Yeah, I mean, it's a much more realistic and dynamic approach to
Mhm.
valuing.
And people change, so
Yeah.
this is gonna change,
Yeah, yeah.
There was a huge drop in just a local community that, the wage dropped a little over $7 an hour. So it's, no experience to years of experience.
Right.
So it's gonna change often,
Right.
so.
I mean, I think what we're presented with here is a much better tool than, I think what we even entered into this process thinking we were gonna walk away with, so this is great.
Right, and adding a step obviously affected other people in the office, but we felt that it was a good move.
Mm-hmm. I don't know, any further thoughts or conversation, or do you wanna make a motion?
I think this is great.
Yeah, agreed, thank you.
I move that the board accept but not yet implement the pay scale changes as recommended by the Wage and Personnel Board, that the board instruct the town administrator to explore the options to implement these recommendations and to report to these options to the board for our consideration at our next meeting.
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded, any further discussion? Seeing nothing, all those in favor? Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
So
and
one more, how often did you say this should be looked at?
I mean, I'm just, you guys could discuss that with David, but I'm thinking really at least every 3 years, if not at least
Okay,
every 3
okay.
years.
yeah,
Alright.
And maybe you do
Basically.
one package thing that's the stipends and everything all at once, and we just do it every 3 years.
Mhm.
Add them all, and then we
Mhm.
just do it.
department
Make it part of the
heads,
job, yeah.
everything, yeah, just a wholesale.
Do the whole chart.
How much lead time do you feel like
Yeah.
would be useful so that we know that we can,
I mean, if you want it by budget, I would give it to us like in August or September, so then we can,
that's enough time?
yeah, I mean, just,
Okay.
as much as, because you start, I mean, David, you have your numbers January?
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
Yes.
yeah, August,
Yeah,
give us
okay.
some 2 or 3, 4 times to meet and get our, we kinda think we'll know what to do now, we'll know our comparables and use those from now on.
Yeah, okay,
Okay.
fantastic, thank you.
And you don't need me next time, right, cause that's just you guys.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yes.
Have a good night.
Thanks, Stacy.
Thank you, Stacy.
I'll let you know about your fees, I'll call you tomorrow.
Moving along, to
we-
continuation of the conversation regarding lien acquired property for, tax map 6, lot 62.
Did we vote on that?
No, you had a discussion with the,
I thought we said all those in favor.
on what?
On the
This-
thing for Stacy?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay,
I
I'm
thought you
sorry.
meant we vote on this one.
Yeah, I just, it's like,
Whatever.
I mean, I know I have had a long day, but I'm pretty sure we. It's okay.
Every day is long for me
We'll, I'll
at
just-
my age.
Okay. Back to agenda item number 9. David, sorry, you were saying.
Well, I thought Karen wanted to know if we voted on this, and you couldn't vote on this before because you only had a discussion in executive session, so we knew what to do.
Correct.
This is a fault. Do you want me to talk a lot or none or what on this?
Maybe talk a little so that.
For the benefit of anybody listening at home or that wasn't at the meeting.
Correct.
The town acquired an ownership interest on the piece of property identified on tax map 6 as lot 62. The board was approached a month or so ago from the previous owner wishing to repurchase the property, which is allowed under our ordinance for the maintenance, administration, and disposition of municipal lien acquired property, provided that the owners pay all back taxes, interest, cost, fees, unassessed taxes, the cost of everything under the sun, deed preparation and all that. The board seemed amenable to that idea. We put together a draft letter, which is in your packet, and I should have brought the final down with me that will tell you the amount, if you wanna know. It's a little over $3,000, which the owner wants the board, if the board wishes to do this, then the owner would have 30 days per the ordinance to pay the full cost, and then we would deed the property back to the previous owner.
Not that this will happen, but should the 30 days elapse, is there recourse for the individual to request an extension, or is there action required by the board, or?
There's
is it
nothing
just-
there's nothing in the ordinance that addresses that, but it would be, it would revert back to what you had available to you before the
Okay.
board. The previous owners did, I think in their initial communication, did indicate that they would be willing to pay the cost in short order once they were told what those were. So,
Okay.
and I did let them know that we would be discussing this tonight, but their attendance was not, mandatory by any stretch.
Thoughts?
When did we acquire the property?
It was, I think it was for non-payment of 2014 taxes, which would have been in January of 2017.
Okay. So legally, we could try to just sell this to the highest. Correct.
Correct.
Bidder.
The board had actually, authorized the town attorney to commence with the quiet title action. This property had some other interesting liens against it by IRS and Maine Revenue Services and maybe somebody else. So I presume if you chose not to do this, we would go back to the quiet title action and make sure we had good, clean title to it. If you do choose, we're just selling our interest back, and they still have to address anything else that might be outstanding.
Okay.
As far as I'm concerned, I'm good with this because I feel it's my responsibility as a select person of this town to help the taxpayers maintain their property in their name. So I feel we have worked to do everything we could possibly do for this person to repurchase this land. But I'm willing to do this once. If the property owner does not achieve the date for payment of back taxes and fees, then we move forward. It's my opinion to move forward with a quiet title action and put the land on the market.
Well, and that'll be a bridge that we'll cross if we should have to. So, that being said, do you wish to make a motion?
Sure. I move that the board authorize the sale of the lien acquired property to the former owners in accordance with the Town of Lincolnville ordinance for the maintenance, administration, and disposition of municipal lien acquired property once full payment of all outstanding taxes, unassessed taxes, municipal liens, interest, and all other costs is received.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Just a matter of record question, David. Is it not necessary to specify the parcel in this motion?
Not for me. But you could amend that to be lot, whatever, map 6, lot 62. That would be clear.
Not that I am a lawyer, but I feel like leaving it as the parcel,
Yep.
I would feel a lot more comfortable having it go in the record with the map number and lot number. If someone wants to amend the motion.
I move we amend the motion to include map 6, lot 62.
Okay, amended. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, fantastic. Any further discussion? Seeing nothing, all those in favor? Thank you for your indulgence on the amendment. And, David, we have applications for, CMP polls.
Yeah,
Into
Central Maine Power has provided 2 applications for new pole locations within the town's right-of-way. One being on the Martin Corner Road and the other being on the Moody Mountain Road. Both spots have been examined by the Tree Conservation Commission, tree warden, steward, to make sure there are no tree clearing issues. He had no concerns, said he was good to go.
Are these new poles or replacing poles that?
These are new locations. If you have a pole that's right next to another pole, that's obviously new, but it's a replacement, they're not required to get a new pole location permit for that. This is for something that's within the right of way of a town road in a location that's one pole removed from wherever the line ends now. If that makes sense.
So the one on Martin Corner / Wentworth Road,
Yep.
I couldn't figure out where that one was going. That-
Opposite Ken Moody's woodlot, or is
In the Blueberry Field?
adjacent to the blueberry field.
Okay.
Between the blueberry field, I believe there's a stone wall at the edge of the blueberry field.
Yeah.
On the road side of the stone wall before you go down in the ditch.
Okay. Okay. I'm good.
Would anyone care to make motions?
I move that the board approve and sign the location permit, CMP job number 10300573630, for a new pole to be located adjacent to the Martin Corner Road.
Moved and seconded.
Whichever.
Any further discussion? Seeing nothing, all those in favor? And a secondary motion, please.
I move that the board approve and sign the location permit, CMP job number 10300575240, for a new pole to be located adjacent to the Moody Mountain Road.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing nothing, all those in favor? Thank you very much. And David, would you like to chat about possible adjustments to the municipal agent fees?
Sure. Municipal agents are, in this case, the town of Lincolnville, or Melissa's the actual motor vehicle agent for us, but when you come to do your state registration here at the Lincolnville Town Office, you're charged a municipal agent fee. The fee was originally not necessarily just in Lincolnville. If you did it in Podunk, you're probably paying the same fee. The fee was established to help towns cover the cost of actually providing that service, so that a resident didn't have to come here, pay their excise tax, and then drive to the nearest motor vehicle office, Rockland, sit in the DMV for, however long till they call your number, and then go up and pay your registration fee there. We act as a registration agent for the state. The reason behind the fee is, why should in essence, a property taxpayer pay to hire the staff when you're doing the state's work and doing the convenience? Near as I can tell, the fees allowable haven't been increased in quite a long time. I think the 90s were the last time. The legislature changed the law this past year that allows what used to be $3 to be a fee up to $5, and what used to be $4 to be $6, or up to $6. And my question to you is, do you wish to change those fees, or do you wish to leave them alone, or get rid of them, or what we do in the end with the fees? They go into the general fund, and then in essence end up in fund balance, which we appropriate annually to help reduce the property tax burden. So put that, I think I put it into perspective in the newsletter.
Yep.
The dollars
Yep.
changed.
I mean, I certainly very much value being able to just come to the town office and get a majority of my paperwork done. I didn't know I could do that when I first moved here. I went and sat in the DF, and then I was like, oh my God, that would have been so much better to just go to the town office. So I'm retroactively willing to support.
I move that the municipal agent fee be set at $5 for each renewal registration, and the agent fee for new registrations be set at $6.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing nothing, all those in favor? Thank you very much. We have treasurers and payroll warrants to approve and sign.
I move that the board approve the treasurer's and payroll warrants.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing nothing, all those in favor? And is there any further business the board wishes to discuss? I was remiss in saying that Selectman Fishman was excused this evening. Lest anyone be wondering where the hell he is.
I do have a question that David did. Was there any information on that float that was down by the culvert?
Not that I've been able to find. I reached out to, who did I talk to? The McGonagall Watershed Association and the boat club to see if it might be theirs, and nobody shared it. Well, I got a response back from the boat club saying it might have been somebody gearing up to take their float out that had brought it down from up above, but I haven't even looked to see if it's still there.
Okay.
I did go down and stand on it for a minute. Is it still there? Do you know?
I haven't checked.
I'll
I just
re-examine.
wondered.
Is there any more business the board wishes to conduct? Great. Seeing nothing, can I have a final motion?
I move to adjourn.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing nothing, all those in favor? Thank you very much, and keep your pens out.
If you would sign those 2 location permits, we'll get them to the CMP.